Hello and welcome to Doing Business in Rwanda. My name is Michael Mjisha. Now, on this particular episode, we track that conversation on how Rwanda signed about 27 bilateral pacts in under 1 week. Now, the events started off with the president of Mozambique visiting the country. Then we did see the president of China and the prime minister of India coming to the country in just a matter of 3 days, and about 27 bilateral pacts were signed. Now, on this episode, we take a look at how these events transpired. In the past 12 years, the Chinese have been able to invest in 21 investment projects in Rwanda worth $420 million. Now, on July the 23rd, 2018, both President Paul Kagame of Rwanda and President Xi Jinping of the People's Republic of China witnessed signings of up to 15 bilateral pacts here in Kigali, and most of them are aligned with the Belt and Road Initiative.
This is my first overseas visit after my re-election as the president of China. Rwanda is an important stop in this visit. And just now, we also witnessed together the signing of many cooperation documents in the areas of economic and technical cooperation, human resources development, culture, science and technology, infrastructure development, investment, e-commerce, civil aviation transport, and Belt and Road cooperation. These outcomes will, for sure, elevate our result-oriented cooperation to a higher level.
The signing ceremony and the commitment on many bilateral agreements witnessed between China and Rwanda, and looking forward to more cooperation and the deepening of bilateral relationships, as well as supporting on our part the cooperation between China and Africa as well.
The two countries signed a memorandum of understanding between Rwanda Development Board and the Investment and Export Promotion Agency of Mozambique, an agreement expected to increase private sector interaction between the two countries as well as investment.
Today's business forum between the private sector of Rwanda and the private sector of Mozambique is a very important step, because as you know, in March this year, the many African countries, including Mozambique and Rwanda, signed the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, which looks at integration within Africa. And so it's important that African countries begin to collaborate at the private sector level so that they can take advantage of the Continental Free Trade Agreement. And so this is a very timely event. Our two leaders, President Kagame and President Nyusi, have agreed to collaborate on the political and economic level and to strengthen ties between Rwanda and Mozambique. And in this specific business forum, we discussed collaboration for private sector. What are the opportunities? What is the business environment? What sectors are interesting? We looked at sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, among others. So we're very excited about working with Mozambique.
That's very important because we need to benchmark with Rwanda. First of all, there is a Rwanda Development Board where indeed I have to share with Mozambican company this window, this one-stop shop to do what? Service is one of them. Power is one of the areas where we can deal with Rwanda. Even in manufacturing, particularly when it comes to garment, Rwanda has an special economic zone which provides very good incentives. So we need to do business between ourselves, intra-Africa trade, intra-Africa investment. So I do believe we have already two projects, not very big, in agriculture and service, done by Rwandans in Mozambique. So we need to have a Mozambican here. One of the gentlemen is already doing business here, okay? We're already selling sugar to Rwanda. We need to sell more.
Africa is growing very fast, and if you have a chance to have the president of an African country like Mozambique, which I can call it new because they got independence in 1975. So it was an opportunity for us to see how we can grow our business, especially in Mozambique. It's a big country, it's 30 times bigger than Rwanda. So especially in the energy sector, they have developed, they are in the process of developing LNG, which will be the biggest in Africa. So us who are in the energy sector, distribution, that's why I asked the question regarding the land and how to get the permit to start the distribution business there. So it's a big opportunity for us, and we hope we can reach an agreement with the authorities there. They have just explained to me, their president has just told us the land is owned by the government. So I'm sure with the policy we have learned from Rwanda, how to invest very well, we think we have a chance to go and invest there.
We are putting our ports at the avail of the Rwanda business, such as ports of Nakala, Beira, and even Maputo, that is slightly far away from Rwanda. I realized that, for example, some of your sugar is exported from Maputo. So if you can export sugar from Maputo, you can certainly do the same from Nakala and other places. So it has been a good opportunity to meet the Rwandese investors and business people.
Moving on, Rwanda and India signed up to 7 bilateral pacts, and the Prime Minister, along with the India Exim Bank, did commit to extend a line of credit worth $200 million that is expected to go into the special economic zones and 3 agriculture schemes.
Today, we have signed agreements on lines of credit worth $200 million and on training as well. We also discussed cooperation in various sectors, including some new sectors like leather and dairy research. In this context, I really look forward to my visit along with the President tomorrow to the Raveru model village. India itself is predominantly an agricultural country, and the majority of our population lives in villages. And therefore, I would very much like to benefit from Rwanda's experience in this area and from President Kagame's initiatives so as to improve rural life in India. I have proposed many sectors, including manufacturing, hospitality, and tourism, in which we can further strengthen the extensive development cooperation between India and Rwanda.
You see, Indian companies, when they go out to invest, as I said, Indian companies are also moving away from just trade to making investments outside, because India has also got investment surplus because we have a fairly high amount of capital available in India. Part of that is happening through Exim Bank of India is giving credit lines to various countries, including in East Africa. Earlier, Indian companies went out in search for raw material. After that, Indian companies went out in search for expertise and technology and brand names. But now a lot of Indian companies are going out in search for market access, large markets. And I think in the third context is where the East African opportunity is very large, because I think the way this part of the world is growing, the kind of opportunity for both investment and for consumption-oriented industries is huge. So Indian companies are investing from infrastructure. We have seen on this trip itself a lot of projects which are infrastructure-led to investment in IT parks and real estate. A lot of investments are happening. A lot of investments are happening in agro-processing, into converting agriculture output into value-added processing for exports to other markets. So I think these are the areas now where Indian companies are investing a lot. These are also the areas where Indian companies have the expertise, because India itself has gone through an infrastructure investment phase. We are going through a rapid infrastructure investment phase. We have gone through a lot of investments in agro-processing. The last area which I saw on this trip itself, where a lot of Indian companies are investing, is in fintech, financial technology, including using data and loans and micro loans and all of that. So I think there is a lot of excitement in old opportunities and new opportunities also.
We would like to further strengthen our trade and investment relations. And therefore, tomorrow, President Kagame and myself, we will be meeting the key business leaders of both countries, and we will take note of the suggestions they give us. Friends, I am pleased to inform you that very soon we will be opening a High Commission in Rwanda. This will not only make possible deeper dialogue between our governments, but at the same time will also facilitate consular, passport, visa, and other services.
On the global stage, Rwanda and India share commitment to peace and security as major troop contributors to United Nations peacekeeping missions. We are pleased that an Indian business delegation has accompanied the Prime Minister. Our respective private sectors will discuss the prospects of collaboration between Rwanda and India at tomorrow's business summit. The African Continental Free Trade Area, Mr. Prime Minister, will provide even greater opportunity for investment and trade between Africa and India in the years ahead.
And that's pretty much where we leave it on this episode of Doing Business in Rwanda. But before we go, President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Narendra Modi were in the country, and both pledged up to $300 million that's expected to go into different projects such as road expansion, hospital expansion, and more on infrastructure development, definitely the Bugesera International Airport and agriculture. Now, if you have any feedback on this episode of Doing Business in Rwanda, be sure to send us an email to dbir@abn360.com or tweet us at dbirwanda. My name is Michael Mjisha, and from the entire Doing Business in Rwanda team, thank you very much for joining us.